14 Christmases had come and gone since James had last seen the twinkling lights of his childhood home. On that cold December night, he was just 16 angry words exchanged over misunderstandings and unspoken pain. His parents, overwhelmed and stubborn, told him to leave. Neither side thought it would last forever. But pride is a heavy silence. Years passed. James grew into a man, shaped by streets, strangers, and solitude. Every holiday season, he avoided carols and decorations, burying memories under layers of survival. Yet, a part of him clung to a single photograph, a faded image of a Christmas tree, his parents smiling behind him, his arms wrapped around a new red bicycle. Then came this Christmas. A letter had arrived at his workplace weeks earlier. No return address, just a line, "Come home." If only once. Something in him shifted. Against reason, he boarded the bus, hands trembling more from doubt than the cold. When he arrived, the house was older, smaller than he remembered. The lights still flickered, less bright, but still there. His mother opened the door. Her face, aged and worn, froze in disbelief. Behind her, his father stood, tears already falling. No words were needed. In their eyes, he saw years of regret. In his heart, forgiveness stirred like an old song remembered. Inside, beneath the tree, sat a small box wrapped in gold. The tag read, "To James, your gift, never forgotten." He opened it slowly. Inside lay a key to the house, and perhaps, to healing. The snow fell quietly that Christmas Eve, blanketing the streets in silence. James stood across the road from the house he once called home. 14 years had passed since he was cast out, just a teenager, lost in rebellion, clashing with parents who couldn't understand his pain. The last words they shared were shouted, bitter and cold. He'd built a life far away, never reaching out, convinced they'd forgotten him. But the ache never left. Each Christmas brought not joy, but a whisper, an echo of laughter, warmth, and belonging that used to live in that house. Weeks ago, an old neighbor found him online and passed on a message, "Your parents still wait." Every Christmas, they leave the porch light on. He hadn't believed it until now. There it was, glowing softly in the night, unchanged. The tree in the window twinkled faintly, and in its reflection, James saw his younger self, hopeful, angry, yearning. He crossed the street slowly, unsure if he was a ghost haunting his own past or a son returning home. The door opened before he could knock. His mother gasped. His father stepped forward, silent tears streaming. For a long moment, they simply looked at one another. Then, arms opened. Hesitation melted. Time folded into an embrace 14 years overdue. Inside, the house smelled the same pine, cinnamon, and memories. On the mantel sat a dusty ornament, James, 2009. He picked it up, the echo of a boy he once was ringing clear. And in that moment, the past found peace. The wind howled outside the station as James stepped off the late-night train, a small bag slung over his shoulder and years of silence weighing heavier than anything he carried. 14 Christmases had passed since he was kicked out, sent into the world with a suitcase, shattered trust, and a heart full of unanswered questions. He remembered the night too well, the argument, the slammed door, the hollow sound of his parents' words, "You've left us no choice." No calls followed. No letters. Just a long, aching void. But 2 weeks ago, a package had arrived. No return address. Just a single object inside, the same wooden toy soldier he'd made in school, the one his mother used to place under the tree every year. On the back, in fading ink, was written, "Come home." Now, standing in front of the familiar house, James hesitated. Lights glowed through the curtains. The porch creaked as he stepped forward. He raised his hand, then lowered it until the door creaked open. His father stood there, older, smaller somehow. Behind him, his mother held her hands to her mouth, eyes brimming with disbelief. "I didn't know if you'd come," his father whispered. James stepped inside slowly. Under the tree sat a box with his name on it. Inside, old photographs, saved letters never sent, and a worn journal, his mother's, filled with entries about him, written year after year. In the quiet, the truth unfolded, not anger, not rejection, but fear, regret, and love never unspoken, only unopened. The wrapping was gone. What remained was real. The first snow had fallen the night James was thrown out. He was just 16, reckless, angry, and misunderstood. Words flew like knives, and his parents, worn from years of conflict, gave him an ultimatum. He walked out into the cold, snow clinging to his shoes like the memory of home. He never returned. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. Not even when his younger sister reached out, begging him to come back. Pride is a strange companion. It keeps you warm for a while, but eventually leaves you cold. 14 winters passed. Cities changed. Faces came and went. James built a life, but never a home. Then, one early December morning, he received a call. His mother's voice, older and softer, said simply, "Your father's not well. He wants to see you." So he returned back to the small town, to the familiar street, just as the year's first snow began to fall. He stood outside the house, boots crunching on the fresh blanket beneath him. Memories returned with every flake. His mother opened the door before he knocked. Her eyes widened, then softened. Inside, the living room was still strung with lights, faded, but still glowing. His father sat in his armchair, thinner now, but smiling. No words came at first. Only tears. Then laughter. Then a long, trembling hug that seemed to erase a decade of silence. That night, as snow fell for the second time in James's life at that doorstep, it no longer felt cold. It felt like something melting, something beginning again. It slammed shut behind him on a bitter Christmas Eve. 16, furious, and feeling invisible, James stormed into the night after shouting one final insult. His parents, exhausted from the fighting, afraid of what he was becoming, did what they swore they never would. "Then go," his father said. "Don't come back until you're ready to grow up." They didn't mean forever. But pride made silence easier than apology. Days turned into years. 14 of them. James never forgot the sound of that door, the way it echoed behind him. He carried it with him into adulthood, every Christmas, every missed birthday, every moment he wondered if they still thought of him. Then, out of nowhere, a letter arrived. The handwriting was his mother's. For words on the page, we never stopped waiting. So he went back. The neighborhood was smaller than he remembered. The porch light was still on, the wreath on the door slightly tilted, just like it always had been. He stood there, unsure, a grown man facing the same door that ended his childhood. It opened before he could knock. His mother gasped. His father, now leaning on a cane, said nothing, just stepped back, leaving room for James to enter. Inside, not much had changed. The tree still stood in the corner. Stockings hung, his among them, untouched for 14 years. No one said sorry. No one needed to. The door they closed all those years ago had never really locked. It had only waited, like them, for the moment love would open it again. Every year, when December arrived, James felt it, quiet as snowfall, heavy as memory. The ghost of a Christmas long past lingered in his heart, whispering regrets he tried to bury. He was 16 when it happened, the night everything broke. A fight turned final. His parents' voices cold, their decision colder, "You need to leave." He never went back. Not for the next Christmas, or the 13 after. He wandered through cities, jobs, and holidays, pretending the ghost didn't exist. But every December, it returned, his mother's trembling voice, his father's furious silence, and the weight of a home lost. Then, in the 14th December, something changed. An email arrived from an unknown address. It read only, "He's sick. Come if you can. Mom." He hesitated for days. But when the snow finally came, he packed a bag and boarded a bus back to the town he swore he'd never see again. The house stood where he left it, smaller now, dimmer. The porch steps groaned under his weight. He reached for the door, but it opened first. His mother stood there, older, thinner, but still unmistakably her. Her eyes widened, then filled. No words. Just open arms. Inside, the halls whispered with familiarity. His father lay on the couch, pale but smiling through tired eyes. That night, James sat beside him as snow fell gently outside. In the quiet, the ghost returned one last time. Not to haunt, but to say goodbye. Forgiveness had come with the snow, and this time, it stayed.